Okay, welcome. Aloha. It is day 4 of the back to school challenge, and we are going to get our sub plans ready so we can have more time later and less stress as we build our solid foundation for our school year. And I'm Fleur with Aloha Monday Teaching, and here we go. Let's get started. So we have a couple of goals today. The first one is to prepare templates for our subplans, which will save us time later, and have some ideas for potential subplans. If we have time, we can actually gather those materials too, and then you're even more ahead of the game. Here's the workbook pages from the Build a Solid Foundation workbook. And if you got the teacher's survival kit, here are the pages that we're going to use for this part of the challenge. So in the folder, you'll see a couple of things from the teacher's survival kit. We've got 2 files of editable subplans. One is a Word document and one is a PowerPoint, and then just an explanation of subplans. So what I did here was I included just 2 different ways you can edit it, whatever's easier for you. And then that way you have your template all ready to go. And the explanation, I just talked about what I included in my subplans, so that you understand like what all that stuff means, like why I put it in there. All right, so let's talk about planning for a sub. Now, if you're a brand new teacher, this is something that you will experience. You'll experience every single one of these scenarios. Those of you that have been teaching, you know what this is. So, what we're going to do is our templates that we create and our lesson ideas and things like that, that is going to help us for any one of these scenarios. So let's just talk about each one. So the first one is a scheduled absence. Oh, first, also, the goal when we have a sub is to stay on track as much as possible. Like, try to keep things in the same routine for your kids. If it's just a day, that's fine. But if it's like a long-term absence, we want to keep the kids on track with their routines, with their learning as much as possible. But sometimes it doesn't work out. Like for like unexpected absences, we might have to change our plans a little bit. So, which is fine, as long as you can jump back in. All right, now let's talk about the different sub scenarios. So the first one is a scheduled absence. This is the absence that you know of ahead of time. You've already have your sub scheduled. You may have asked a sub that you already know to be there for you that day. So the tip here is when you know you'll be out, try to schedule something simple for your sub to do so that doesn't stray from your current unit. That way, the kids are still practicing and learning and they stay on routine. That's kind of a tip for all of them, actually. But when you know who your sub is, you can kind of decide what they're able to handle. So that's a scheduled absence. So you know who your sub is, or you know there's a sub and you've planned it ahead of time. Unexpected absence. These are those last minute ones, like either the morning of, the night before absences. So to prepare for this, have some emergency lessons ready to go just in case you're not prepared ahead of time. But also try to be prepared ahead of time, and that way you don't have to come in and have someone make, or have someone make copies for you. That's always okay. Usually teachers are pretty good about that, where they make copies for you. Um, Make sure you're communicating with your teammates about this or other grade level teachers. And a tip here is that you have your sub binder that we made earlier, or teacher binder, and it has all of the important information. So all you need is to type up your lesson plan. So if you have your templates ready to go, you just type it up real quick and you can send it over to your school or to a team teacher. And with this, if it's unexpected, you should be able to easily switch days. Like if you were scheduled to do a lab that day and you are like not going to be there, change it to whatever you're doing the next day and do the lab when you come back, sort of thing. Or just have some activities ready during that unit that a sub can do. Now, there is also going to be times when there is no sub. So I don't know about your state or your district, but I know there has been a sub shortage. Sometimes we don't get subs. So sometimes when there's usually no sub, your school might do something different. Ours, we split up. Well, we try to get someone to cover the class, but if that's not possible, then we split up the kids and they go to different classes. And when they do that, we call it Plan B. When they go to different classes, we don't let them do computer work because there may not be enough computers. So it has to be something on paper. So you'll follow your school's procedure. When there is no sub, if another teacher comes in, they should be able to do whatever your plans are that you had already scheduled. So this is like for either absence. So obviously, whenever you're going to be gone, you're going to write a sub plan. But if no sub shows up, you have this sub plan that's not being used. So, but if a teacher gets to come in for one period, then they'll do the sub plan. Otherwise, they'll do whatever else you have them do. Our school, we have worksheets ready to go. So that is an idea just to have something ready. What we did for our seventh grade team was we just have 2 worksheets for each topic that we teach for each quarter in Google Drive, and that way they can just print those out if they need it. Usually we're planned pretty far ahead and we have a lot of worksheets already copied, and so we can just use that. So the just being prepared is the way to have less stress in any of these situations. Okay, here are some lesson ideas for a sub, and this is in the teacher survival kit, sorry. So I just made a little chart and I'll go through it really quick. So if you have a scheduled absence, let's say you know who the sub is, or you might not know who the sub is. So a scheduled absence, can they teach a lesson? Yes, of course. Make sure you have, if you have like a PowerPoint or something ready, have that ready. Can they do a lab? It depends. So if you know who your sub is and you've already arranged it and they're comfortable, like they're a retired science teacher, they'll probably be totally fine doing a lab. Otherwise, if not, I would say no. I would say skip the lab, do that when you're there. Can they do things like where the kids are working on projects or stations or working around the room? Sure. Independent work, of course, worksheets or computer work, that kind of thing. And a video, yes. And make sure if you're going to do a video for your sub, have the kids do a worksheet or some kind of assignment, because you don't want them to just sit there watching a video. There is a lot of chance for misbehaving. All right, if you have a last second absence and you don't know who the sub is yet, but it's just last minute, can that sub that comes into your class teach a lesson? Of course. Can they do a lab? I would say no. I wouldn't suggest it for a last minute sub because they're walking into a lab. You don't know who it is. So I would say no for that one. Projects, yes. Stations around the room, possibly. Or you can make them do stations at their desks. And independent work or a video, yes. If there is no sub, so let's say in this scenario, you don't have a teacher coming into your room, like your kids got split up. Obviously, can't teach a lesson unless if they have computer access and you have a video ready, then that's different. Lab, obviously, no. Project stations, no, but if they can do it independently, sure. Independent work, yes. And a video, possibly if there's computer access and things like that, and they have a worksheet to complete. So those are some ideas for your sub. So when you're writing your sub plans, just kind of think about that and what a sub might be able to do. All right, here's some emergency lesson plan ideas. This is like if you have a last minute absence, a long-term absence, that kind of thing. So you could have some worksheets ready, like that's what we do. Or packets, review packets, that makes a great emergency lesson plan idea. Choice boards, where that could take a few days, have like a generic choice board or something that is related to your unit that you haven't had the students do, or maybe they are completing it, just have them continue it. You could have them do a research project that would take a few days. So having those ready for emergencies is a good idea. You probably most likely won't ever need to use it. Hopefully not. All right, so let's look at these subplan templates so you can see what they look like. And if you got the teacher survival kit, then your templates are pretty much made. You'll just want to edit it to fit your class. So I have a greeting page whenever I have my subplans. So I'll just give some summaries of important information about the class, just in case they don't have time to look through my teacher binder. That teacher binder we put together with all that awesome information. This just summarizes it for them, and then they can look through the teacher binder when they have some time. And then like I've said before, I like to keep things super simple. Like I need to make sure I'm saving time, things are easy to use. So this is what my subplan template looks like. I'm very detailed in my lesson plans. And you want to have a lesson plan for each class. If they're doing the same thing, if you notice here, I have first period only, and I highlighted it, and then I have all classes. But if I had, let's say I have my GATE kids working on something different from my grade level kids, I would add another row to this chart and type it in there so they know. On the left, I have like the class periods and just some little notes there. And I might put the times if it's a different schedule, that sort of thing. I let them know when their prep is and when their lunch is. I don't see it here, but I usually let them know when their lunch is. So this is something that will, if you save it like as a Google Doc, this one's a PowerPoint, the other one's a Word document. You can make it in Google, and that way you can edit it from home. I have learned to take my work laptop home every day just in case, because we can't access our network drives on our personal computers anymore. And so I just take my laptop home because you never know when that last second, my son gets sick or something, and then I have to stay home. So that's happened like before. So I take my laptop home, and then I can easily edit and then send this to my team and my school so that the subplans are at the school. All right. So your homework is just get your subplan templates ready. If you didn't get the teacher survival kit, look at what you've done in the past and make it into a template, and share your subplan ideas. Like, what are some things that you like your subs to do when you are not there, whether it's an expected absence or an unexpected absence. So after today's challenge, our goals, we should have these done. We should have our templates ready so that it'll save us so much time later and less stress. That is the goal of all of this. And then have some ideas for our potential sub plans, and maybe even have some copies ready to go so that it is, I mean, we do not need the stress of not being at school. All right. And I can't wait to see what you come up with.